Hello and welcome to the Sideline Live podcast. My name is Orla Keeling and I am the host of the podcast, where every week we bring you a brand new episode with guests ranging from Olympic champions to local heroes, coaches, support staff and anybody involved in the world of sport. Each week we will dive into different topics, including current affairs in sport, identity, skill, mindset, coaching, and also shine a light on those flying under the radar. So tune in every brand new episodes, new stories and new insights you've never heard before. This episode is proudly sponsored by Sport Expo Ireland. Taking place at the Sport Ireland campus on April 21st and 22nd, 2027, attendees will hear from leading voices in sport, take part in interactive workshops and masterclasses. To learn more and register your interest, visit sportexpo.ie, which is linked in the description of the episode. Now, let's hear from today's guest. We are good to go. Okay, delighted to be joined by Coach Kelly. Great to have you on the show. Much appreciated your time. Can I just acknowledge as well, I do have a Texas Longhorn t-shirt that I got in Austin for this episode. But thank you for joining me. It's good to have you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you. And I like that. It's very appropriate.
This interview is on the back of Raising Her Game, a documentary about your time and the 2023 season as coach of the Texas Longhorns women's soccer team and winning your conference title. Coach, I'm interested, plenty of coaches in Ireland would maybe shy away from maybe a documentary and seeing the behind the scenes of a team. You decided to go with it. Why did you allow the cameras in?
I think first and foremost, as you've seen yourself, Texas is a special place. I think it's a unique place to which they definitely shine lights on their female athletes. But I've always felt, I've played the game. I've been in the game for 50 years, right? So I started when I was 5 and I coached for 30 years, and I've always felt amongst those 30 years of coaching that soccer was the vehicle to which I could develop stronger young women. And for me to disallow the docu-series to come in when there was an opportunity to shine a light on this fantastic group of players. It was generational talent at the time. We ended up winning 3 conference titles in a row, with the last one being in the SEC conference. So it just felt like it was something that I needed to do and I needed to allow. And they were incredibly professional with how they operated. And you barely knew they were there. But when you go back and you get to actually account for, there's some hard times, there's some highs, there's some lows. But anytime in life that you can have record of that and look back, it's very fulfilling.
There's actually an Irish connection as well. One of your players from the series, Hannah, is now playing in Athlone Town in our women's top division here. There's a number of girls that have gone on to play professionally from your program. I'm interested. My favourite question is, what separates the best from the rest? Do you have an answer from 50 years in the game?
Well, let's just talk about Hannah Wesh, right? She's loving it over there. And I think she was midfielder of the year last year or the year before. And I've been able to spend some time with her on her time off. And oh gosh, she's growing continually in the game, right? So that's wonderful. The professional players that you're referencing on that particular squad, we had 10 players go sign pro contracts around the world. So it was just a really special group in a really special time. So the question is, what do I think
Separates
makes
the great players from the rest of the pack.
consistency over time? Uh, it's you're going to not always have your best day, but your 70% needs to be better than your opponent's. And I think as a unit, and no coach wants to talk about averages, and they don't want to talk about seven out of 10 or 70% out of 100, right? And that's not what I'm really speaking about. What I'm speaking about is who on our squad can have the game of their life. And I don't know. I mean, I just finished watching Harry Kane. I'm watching France yesterday. I'm watching Messi. I'm about to say, can you ever play your absolute 100% best game? Maybe Messi can, maybe Mbappe can, right? Because I think I watched that yesterday and the day before. But you're always striving for that, right? So if one of our players, which we're all striving for 100%, if the core of our players can play 95 to 98% of the best that they've ever played, as we're all striving to play our best, and we understand that it's human nature that some of the squad might not have their best day, and they might come in at 70%, at maybe 65% of their best, because maybe they're just not feeling well. Well, when you average those together, because the 98s bring up the 65s, can our 75% be better than our opponent's 70 or 75%? And ultimately, you ask me what has how does the cream rise to the top? I mentioned consistency over time. Consistency over time of the most talented players, right? It takes talent. It always takes talent. If any coach tells you that you can do it without special players in our game, that's just not the truth, right? Now, those special players have to be selfless at times. They have to be selfish at times. They have to be committed. The whole squad has to be committed off the pitch, and there's a million different things that go into it. But for the one specific question, I think it's the consistency, and I think it's the striving for excellence every day.
I love that. You mentioned talent. What does the word talent mean to you?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. It's what God's gifted you with, and depending in our sport, there's a lot of different nuances that go into all the varying positions that you might play. I mean, in the game's constantly evolving, right? In these different positions and in how players float in and out of space. So the new age game is demanding a lot of players. If you're a left back, you better be able to put the ball in the back of the net, as we've seen in this wonderful World Cup, right? It's not just the strikers that have that weight. So it's I think the players have to evolve. I think every part of they have to be very technical. I think they have to be plugged in tactically, and then they have to be fit, right? And I think the best players can cross all of those variances at a high level.
Interesting. Is there the ones that are talented but maybe don't reach the great? Like apart from major injury, I'm interested what stops someone from maybe reaching that potential.
Well, and I always grew up, I never enjoyed the word potential because so in my instance, if I played on the Canadian national team and was able to play at a World Cup, and that was wonderful. But there was a period of time when I was 14 that I went into a camp, and I got cut from a camp, right? And the coach had said to me, "Oh, Ange, you keep going, you keep going. You're so young, you have so much potential." And I left the meeting being gracious and being thankful that I was allowed the opportunity to play in the camp. Certainly motivated, right, to come back and be better. But Ange Kelly, you have potential, keep it going, just means Ange Kelly, you're not at the standard right now, right? So that then it was always like, ooh, there was something about that word that, so I always called it in my coaching vernacular, I always said a player has a tremendous upside, right? That's just a little historical story on my own experience, but um, every championship team needs the type of players that aren't superstars, right? You can't have Argentina, I'll go out to say, and to all your people listening, Argentina would not be able to win the match or the World Cup with 11 Messis. Let's just say 10, because they wouldn't put him in goal, would they? But this put, with the skill set of Messi,
It wouldn't work.
it's
Yeah.
not doable,
Yeah.
right? So, if there's the elite players that have these skill set that we talked about a minute ago, you need the grinders. You need the box to box. You need the players that are so selfless that they'll put their body on the line. That just will themselves, will the ball to not cross the line and dominate every aerial duel. Like you just need those players, players that can clean it up and get it on the floor and let's go. So I think that's the specialness about not a specific player, but about a coach or any coach that's trying to put together a squad is they're looking for specialness, but they're looking for different types of characteristics that can help them ultimately win.
Interesting. You mentioned the World Cup. Out of interest, were you supporting Scotland or Canada?
Both, both. And I actually have some of my college teammates have sons on the US team.
Very good.
So I'm supporting, I was able to be a guest of FIFA at the Turkey game the other evening in LA. And I've mentioned, players not on the Canadian and the Scottish team, and I just support the beautiful game. It's been incredible what it's done in this country. I think America has a lot of different sports and a lot of passion to all the sports that they support. And I think the average American fan knew the World Cup was coming. And they said, yeah, it's supposed to be great. It's going to be great. And I really feel now in the third week, you're seeing the average American fan. How do I get tickets? I have to get there. How can I get to San Fran? Where is the game going to be next? Where's the watch party? And like any big group, the American fans don't want to be left out. And when you see a fan base such as Scotland and the passion that they brought for being such a smaller country over, and gosh, I'm first generation Scottish, so I know all about the singing. I know all about just being happy in around people and connecting. And that's what the Scottish fans took over Boston. I have one of my best friends Christine Lilly. She's the most cap player in the world. She lives in Boston with her family. She's been going to all these games, and she would just call me and she'd FaceTime me up in the box at the first Scottish game and just was like, Ange, this is incredible, right? The passion that they bring. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's been really interesting to watch the host teams. Mexico had the very, very, very first game of the World Cup, and they were tight in Mexico City, right? Then Canada had the game up in Toronto, played a little tight. The US got to see those two play first and played a lot more free in their first match, right? And then you see Canada play the very first knockout round, and in my opinion, a little tight, right? But Jesse Marsh will get that sorted, and Alfonso Davies is back, which gives the team a boost. So I'm excited for all the countries that I'm affiliated with, and just very grateful that the beautiful game is being put on
Yeah,
display.
I think you're going to be the real winner of this World Cup. No matter who wins, you have some sort of connection to to them. And on the Scottish piece, I will say they brought their passion, and I think there wasn't a flight left from Scotland that had any alcohol on it to America because they were all drink or hydrating before the matches. And I heard Boston was bombarded with the Scottish. I'm interested in that piece. You've mentioned it there. You grew up in Scotland, raised in Canada, built your career in America, three different countries. I'm interested in how the three have shaped you and your approach to coaching.
Hmm. That's a great question. I my parents moved over from Britain to Canada, Brantford, Ontario, Canada. I'm from. Maybe not a sport that is so well known in your neck of the woods, but I grew up in a small town, Brantford, Ontario, just a little bit south of Toronto, and it's the home of Wayne Gretzky. And Wayne Gretzky is the most famous hockey god that there in the older days. And I grew up uh, looking up to him, right? Went to school, the same high school with him and his siblings, and there was no real female role models then. So I grew up in Canada playing a million different sports. I'm so grateful for that upbringing, playing hockey, playing basketball, playing volleyball, playing tennis, playing badminton, you name it, whatever the season, the sport, we played it. And I think the Scottish, watching my dad played at a high level and continued to play. So I watched him while I grew up in Canada. He always had a ball at my foot. Um, Women didn't play as much back then, but then I think my dad was knocking a ball around with me in the backyard and decided, I think she can strike a ball here, at the age of 4. As the story goes, you play on these small teams, and in Brantford, it was a smaller, 60,000 people. As I continued to enjoy the game, I was able to go play and find more competition in bigger towns like Toronto, and then started playing in the provincial team, which then gave me exposure to the national team. And I think the Scottish roots of my father, who was a left back and thinks that that's the only position on a pitch is the left back, right? So he taught me how to get stuck in. He taught me that I probably needed two sets of shinnies on the front and the back. I didn't ever do the scissor tackle that he probably tried to teach me as well. But that grind, that grit, Canada, the way that you're so grateful for the competition and love and the love of your teammates and supporting your in playing and performing for your country. What a tremendous honor it was for me to go to the 95 World Cup in Sweden and represent my country and any of the other caps that I had. And then bringing that exposure with the national team actually afforded me an opportunity to be seen by Anson Dorrance, who is the infamous coach at the University of North Carolina, and obviously coached for over a decade the U.S. women's national team. Um, so was afforded an opportunity to go on scholarship and play at the University of North Carolina, where you take the grit, the upbringing, just being around the game, and the dead fastness. I was one of those people I described. I wasn't the elite great. I was the box to box 6 that looked disheveled with grass stains all over me, with a big smile on my face as long as my team won. So I knew full blown how to get that part of the game done. But I was playing at North Carolina. Gosh, my dearest friends and roommates, Mia Hamm, Christine Lilly, Tish Venturini, just to name a few. We had such a run then. We went on to win four national championships in a row. Anson jokes that Mia Hamm and Ange Kelly are the only two people in NCAA history to have won five national championships in a row. Um, I had broken my leg my freshman year, and Mia had redshirted for the World Cup. So we are the only two that were on those two squads that in that 5 year period. Um, so yeah, I think bringing what I had, my mentality, and the education that I got from the U.S., from Anson, from my teammates daily, was how to sharpen your competitive spirit, how to understand tactically. Where and when you should be at certain places, how to play in combination to absolutely put a team under. We had the ability to do that well, and to win, right? We lost one game in 4 years, so it was a really great run at North Carolina. So I think I hope that answers your question about the three countries.
It does. No, it does. And it's funny, I've only actually finished an interview there about half an hour before we spoke with Aoife Wafer, who's an Irish rugby player, one of the best, in certainly in Europe, probably up there in the world. And she mentioned Mia Hamm. And it's just, I just, no, just when you mentioned her there, I was like, I don't know if they know the effect that they've had, that UNC team that you're involved in, and what everyone has done in their own ways with the game has spread beyond the game and beyond the border in America or across borders. What does it take to win? You might have a good answer to that now with five in a row titles.
I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I think it takes it's a lot of things, right? You're challenging me to put it in one soundbite. I think it's a collective group working towards a common goal, with a ton of love and respect for one another ultimately. Now that collective group needs talent, they need commitment, they need selflessness, they need leadership, right? And I think if you have that, which we had, and of course, with the success of the U.S. Women's National Team, they brought that, and have continued to have a tremendous amount of success there as well. Um, I'd say it would be those things, and you take out any one of those prongs that I just mentioned, no leadership, it doesn't work, right? No talent, it doesn't work. A common care and concern, a bonded group working towards a common goal. If a couple of them don't believe in that, and a couple of them are more selfish than they are selfless, it doesn't work.
Speaking of legends of sport, Donny Mayab gave me a great question. He said to ask about your relationship with Pat Summitt and just what you
Mm.
learned from her. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I miss Coach Summit every single day. I mean, obviously she's passed away with Alzheimer's too early and too long ago for my liking. But for 16 years of my very young career, from the age of 26, from 1999 to 2011, I was put under the wing of Pat Summitt. I didn't know I was going to be. I often didn't realize the education I was receiving, but she took a liking to me, and she just told me that I had it, and if I had to have one person come to dinner, they often ask that question, who would you come? I would pick Coach Pat Summitt 10 times over, and I would just want to sit in her presence, and I would ask her, Pat, you know how you said that I had it? What was it? Because I never ever spoke to her directly about that. But she had a ton of belief in me in a time when Hadn't really coached. I had played at a high level, but I hadn't really coached anything. And summer camps and those types of things, but not anything of consequence, such as a big, Power Five uh, institution, huge athletic department. So she brought the soccer staff down to the basketball arena, and we were in shared offices for 16 years. And there's times that I remember we'd be on the golf course and Pat would hand me her phone as she was about to strike her golf ball. And she'd be like, just say, if they say Pat, just say yes. And I cover the phone. I said, but Coach Summitt, I don't have your accent. Don't worry about it. Just say yes. And I'm like, and it had happened to be like an ESPN conference call that I'm listening to. I'm like, oh. Pat, they're going to be about to say your name. Just say yes. Pat, yes. And I think I tried to say it so quick that it was like muffled, and I'm like, here, take this phone back. This is stressing me out. Holy smokes. But she was tough. She was kind. She was she'd give the shirt off her back. I know that in the public portrayal of her, she commanded the attention of 20,000 people and of a basketball arena. If she walked into a room, it was pin silence. If she walked into that arena, it was pin silence. If her players sat down in front of her and they didn't make eye contact, they were out. Um, it was incredible. But I was able to also see the caring, giving, the amount that she gave to the community, to everybody. I remember a Thanksgiving. She's like, Angie, get to office early tomorrow, like 6:30. And I said, okay, why? She goes, because we're going to go deliver hams. And she had 1,000 hams that she and her staff, we all went and delivered them to these families that weren't going to have a meal. And no one ever like did a story on that or publicized, and she wouldn't have wanted that. But she made everybody around her better. And the tide raises all boats. Coach Summitt was willing to be the ship, and everybody just get on. I'll take care of everybody. And yeah, gosh, it was a privilege. It was an education. It was 16 plus years, because when I came to the University of Texas, we obviously stayed in touch until her passing. I still to this day keep in touch with her son Tyler, and he's all of his young kids are growing, and I think they were just in Knoxville this past weekend for Shamiko Holtzclaw's induction. So, yeah, just love everything that she's given to her sport and to American sport.
One thing that sticks out about your approach with your players is how much you care about them on and off the field. There's a great golfer from Ireland, Paul McGinley. He was the Ryder Cup captain when they won in 2012, speaking of golf as well. And he mentioned how he spoke with a coach, I think it was the University of Washington, and the coach in Washington wanted his scholarship athletes to be golf is their only plan, whereas Paul McGinley was a professional, and he attributes his success to having a backup. He had a degree and went to college. Just interested in your thoughts on that and your approach to caring for athletes beyond the field.
Well, I always approached the collegiate game and any players that came to play for me that they were joining a family, and it was a family, a 40-year family, right? And the education and the scholarship papers that they were signing at the time was basically a life insurance policy, because we all hope that the game in the career can last as long as someone like one of my best friends, Christine Lilly, played until she was 42. That's hard to do, right? Very hard to do. So that is, you don't always get afforded that time. Now, what is going to be your next piece of your career, especially if it comes at 28? God forbid that you get a career-ending injury so young. So I was always really felt good in my heart of hearts that any player that was going to come play for me was going to be a part of an extended family, that I was going to be committed to them on and off the pitch, that I was going to be demanding, but along the way, hopefully that combination would produce success, all the while knowing that the true success was going to be at 25, at 28, at 35. Some of the most rewarding text messages or voice messages that I can ever receive are from players that have played for me 15 years ago. And that meant a lot to me, just investing in people. But once again, I just spent quite a few moments talking on the type of mentorship I was given. And um, I came from, the environment that Coach Summitt, if you didn't treat people with respect the way that you expected to be treated, you were out. And that's the only way I know how to operate.
It's interesting. You've been around the game, you said, for 50 years. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from sport?
Uh, be gracious in your success. Continue to be humble. I think those two things are really, really important. And forever be grateful for the ability to compete. And I think we all have different soul journeys on in our heart of hearts. And I think if you're gifted with the ability to invest with other people and being in a talented sort of way, just be grateful for that, right? Be grateful. I think sports kind of expedites real life. It takes it from 0 to 100 miles an hour. And, in sport, we try to have you fail every day in training. We try to give you resilience and perseverance and, all the things. And why do people lift weights? So that they can break down their muscle and hopefully get stronger. Humans don't like to hear it, but that's the only time you grow, right? Is when moments of adversity hit. So I think athletics is wonderful because it kind of takes you into that failing moment. Hopefully, if you're in a competitive environment, that you're going to do it every day, you're going to feel safe enough to get right back up, and then you're going to move on, and you're going to have built that resiliency that's needed to then once again go out into the real world and continue to have success, and then hopefully continue to be humble and gracious and kind and give back.
Brilliant. I'm going to do the sideline 7. It's the same 7 questions at the end of every episode. You've given me
Okay.
a couple of quotes here already, so I'm interested to hear what's your favourite one.
Okay. Um, I have a lot. Oh, not a lot. I have a few that comes to mind, and time, words, opportunity are the three things you can't get back. And I think in athletics, it's it's very pertinent, right? Time, words, and opportunity, right? What you speak, um, the time that you're putting into something, and the opportunities affording you in every single moment, which is just the now, is three things that you can't get back. So once again, I'm going back to be humble, be respectful, do the things you need to do, take advantage of the time that you're given, and never waste an opportunity, because ultimately we can't get those back, because once this moment's done, it's on to the next. So that's always been something I've tried to impress upon my players. And I'm certain that, everybody in these knockout stages, they're not saying anything close to what I just shared with you, I'm certain, but they're feeling these types of things. You don't want to ever take for granted an opportunity that you're given.
Brilliant. I love that. Question 2, the best sporting event you've been to. Pick one that you were involved in and one as a spectator.
Uh, Playing for Canada in the World Cup was incredibly special. Winning the my senior year, the national championship in Portland, Oregon, with uh, North Carolina against Notre Dame. And my teammate and I, Tisha Venturini Hoke, had said from day one, let's win four. And that whistle blew, and I really enjoyed that moment because we were able to embrace and say, yeah, we put something out there 4 years ago, and we did it. And so that was very special. As a fan, I've been afforded a lot, but Mia Hamm and I went to the Champions League final in London, England, Dortmund, Bayern,
Nice.
and that was pretty incredible. It was the first time that I've actually sat, and we had very nice seats. Thought this pitch is too small for how fast these players are and how big they were, but their touch was exceptional, right? But their touch had to have been exceptional, or else they wouldn't be able to even connect a pass because it was closed so quick. Um, and that was, years ago. So, but I've been really blessed and fortunate to. I've been to the Euros. I've been to a day with Arsene Wenger. I've been
Wow.
to a week with Pep Guardiola, watching the people like Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, PK train, and kind of getting to see behind the lines with them. And yeah, there's a lot of different things this sport has afforded me. But if you're going to talk about a competition, I think being at the Champions League final was probably top of the
Yeah.
list.
Okay. I'm very jealous of your list of sporting events you've just rattled off there and you've been to. I enjoy Mia Hamm's podcast as well with Abby. It's good insights from good guests. Question three: the biggest setback or challenge so far in your career, and how did you react to it?
I broke my leg. I mentioned it earlier. My freshman year, I hadn't had an injury. I was a type of player that got stuck in, as I alluded to, but hadn't had an injury. And just it was a the alumni game in my freshman preseason. Had done all the fitness and um, went in to a tackle, and I probably should have got up in the air, and I didn't, and I broke my tibia. So back then, it was not just straight surgery, get a rod in. It was, and my sweet parents had just dropped me off, and I don't want to date myself, but if you looked it up, you know how old I am. It was 1990, and there was no cell phones then, so I had to. Um, we went to the the sports science, the doctor, and Mia was holding up my back, and the doctor just took my leg and hung it over, and then it kind of hit the heel up. That's how they reset it. Well, Mia passed out. I passed out. I was like, whoa. Mia was on the ground. Oh, and then she we were back in the hospital room, and she had to do the rotary phone to call my parents. She's like, John, Moira, have some news. Angela's broke her leg. Oh no. So they were like, oh, do we have to come back and get her? And Mia goes, do you want them to come back and get you? I said, no. I go, I committed to being here. I'm going to be fine. No worries. So then it was a full year. I didn't get the surgery. Anson was gracious and allowed me to be at a red shirt. So I had a full long leg cast for 3 months, a small cast for the next three. Like I was limping around with my leg the size of my arm in March and April of that next spring, and just kind of got after it that May into the summer, and yeah, was able to play and didn't miss a game. I think I had a 99 straight games played. I don't, it used to be a record in the NCAA. I don't, it's probably not a record anymore, but yeah, didn't miss a game since that. So
Wow.
um, that was probably the toughest thing.
As someone who has broken my tibia,
Oh, you did?
I was similar to you. I was 9 weeks full leg, 3 weeks short leg, and then back to 5 weeks full leg. I can I just say as well, when you said he put the heel, I can actually, my tibia is actually sore from from listening to that. So but from someone that has experienced that and certainly not played at the level you've played at, the respect I have for that is serious, especially getting it reset like in the manner that it did. I'm not surprised you all passed out.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, it's just something like it's the what happened to the young Canadian gentleman. I haven't even
Oh yeah,
I,
no,
I can't watch it. I can't see it. Um, and I actually had the doctor had said, whatever you do, don't put weight on it or slip,
yeah,
or else we'll need surgery. So I was going to my very first class in college. Christine had just dropped me off, and it had been a little rainy, and I
oh
had had the
no,
full leg cast, and I'm in the foyer area of the the
yeah,
classroom, and it was slippery and the tile floor, and I went like this on the crutch and landed on my leg. And then I just immediately, as you well know now, just kind of petered down to the ground, and I think I had some tears in my eyes, and people came running, are you okay? You okay? I'm like, do you see that red Passat out there? Oh, it's driving away. I'm like, oh. So I went to the class, which was upstairs. I think I must have been blacked out, but adrenaline's a wonderful thing that your body has. But I think they called Anson and Dino, our assistant coach, pretty quickly. I think the professor realized I was peakish white, and um, so then they took me straight to back to the doctor, because I said I better go see him,
yeah.
because he said whatever you do, don't knock it. And they put me through the x-ray, and then he comes back in shaking his head, and I'm like, oh no. And he says, I don't know how you did it, but you knocked it in better shape, better, closer, tighter shape than it was. And I'm like,
Oh my god,
fantastic. Yeah, yeah. So
god.
that was great. Yeah, so it was you know now. I saw your reaction when I was speaking, but you well know, like, that's enough to, who needs a pulled hamstring or
Yeah,
a little strain in your quad when you can just get one fell swoop, get that out of the way, and takes care of every injury there is.
you must have done this. You must have landed seriously on that bone when you fell
Oh,
to oh my
I
god.
went like, I went like on I was very
Yeah,
careful,
yeah,
but it just, the wet, it
yeah.
slipped and I landed, and it just,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it was,
oh, I'm getting shivers. I have to better move on. Oh god.
yeah, let's move on.
On the flip side, then, your biggest achievement in or outside of sport.
Oh, I mean, I think we've covered the types of things that I'm very grateful for. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to win at a high level as a player. I've won loads of conference titles as a coach. I've seen lots of my players go to be pro. Julia Grosso, one of my players, scored the winning goal for Canada to win an Olympic gold medal for Canada. That was a that was a highlight for the country and for Jules. So there's like these types of successes, um, that come along the way. But I think out of the game, it's getting those phone calls from players, 10 years removed. It's getting invited to their weddings and seeing how they've become um, wonderfully strong women that are out there in corporate America. still talking about the lessons that they learned in training, and how hard it was. They could be up in Wall Street and they'll come back and talk to me about, I can't believe how hard you made us train. I'm like, well, I mean, if it's making you a little tougher now, then so be it. Meanwhile, it's not even close to as tough as what they're facing right now, right? So that perseverance and resilience that I told you athletics helps build, that's real. I believe that's real. And all coaches probably, if they don't realize that, they should realize that.
Amazing. Advice to your 18-year-old self.
Um, I was pretty good at this, but I would still remind myself to speak to yourself like your best teammate would, right? Don't listen to that little voice inside yourself that is, I don't know, protective, which can cause it to be a little bit fearful and doubtful and all these things. Knock that voice out, like knock it out for like the next 10 years. And just get after it. Being surrounded with Coach Summitt and these types of things, I was able to continue to be reminded in all these different ways to not listen to that little voice. But it's real. It's a human thing, and I think you you never know unless you get after it. So just go ahead and get after it. And if you fail, it's it's just the moment where you should smile, because that's where you're getting stronger anyway.
Brilliant. I love that. Question 6 is your dream dinner guest. You've already answered that question. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Who should I get on the podcast? Kind of have this similar kind of conversation around coaching and performance. Is there anyone that comes to mind that I should get on?
There's loads that are coming to mind in our game, like what tell me what avenue.
I just think like kind of the elite performance, trying to like navigate elite sport and kind of get insights that we don't normally share in the media. That's kind of what I love to go into.
Yeah. Heather Mason, the head strength coach at Ohio State. We worked together at the University of Tennessee for 8 years. Um, she's been tremendous. She heads up the strength and conditioning for the whole university there. Um, oh, I have a dear friend, Shaka Smart, in men's basketball. Um, and then my dearest friend here at the University of Texas, Jarrett Elliott, in women's volleyball,
Yes.
uh, would be would be um, another great person to have. And in fact, his wife Andrea, they own the company TIY, Tie It Yourself Hair Ties,
Brilliant.
which would take your conversation and branch it off into a strong woman leading, having her own corporate job. But yeah, that's putting me on the spot.
I
I
am.
had a million different things going through my head right there. Oh, you know what? Rian Wilkinson, she's over as the Welsh national team coach. She played for me, my very first recruit at University of Tennessee from up in Montreal, Canada. I found her in a gym playing with boys, and she went through the Canadian system, and now she's coaching over in Wales. She'd be tremendous to speak with.
Brilliant. You've given me 4 great guesses, and I do appreciate I did very much put you on the spot with that one. Final question before I let you go. If your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
Whew. These are like, I like it. Um, what would the chapter be called?
Yeah.
Okay. Chapter would be called the true meaning and purpose.
Love it. Very good. That's a nice way to end it as well. Angie, thank you for your time. This was all part of promotion for the documentary Raising Her Game, which you can watch on Victory Plus. Angie, really enjoyed the conversation. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup, and I might catch you next time in Austin.
Oh, please do. It was an absolute pleasure, and I wish you nothing but all the best.
And that is it for today's episode of the Sideline Live podcast. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing their story, insights, and experiences with you, the audience. If you did enjoy the episode, please do leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as it does help the show grow. If you are interested in more content and information or hearing from upcoming guests, you can follow our social medias at the Sideline Live, which are linked in the description box of the episode. If you do have any guest suggestions or topics you would like to have covered, you can send us a message on social media or email thesidelinelive@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.